Douluo Continent, the death tree pursued by the goddess of life. Chapter 41. The relationship between the Holy Son and Holy Maiden of Spirit Hall. Li Qinglian was schemed against. Humph, that won't do either. I was also dressed very nicely back then, but I didn't see you look at me much. Kyan Ringsu gave Li Qinglian a fierce glare with her beautiful eyes. Li Qinglian was speechless. Don't women hate men's stares the most? Why are they all begging him to look? So should he look or not? So. What you meant just now is that humans need to control their own emotions well in order to better become gods. And spirit beasts need to cultivate their own physical bodies. That what you meant? Kyan Ringsu reined in her thoughts and became solemn as well. She wanted to become a god. But before Li Qinglian, no one had ever told her these things. Even the angel god had never said so. There's completely no problem with you understanding it that way. Emotional people like you, family affection and romantic love are your greatest weaknesses. Li Qinglian sighed. Someone like Tang Xin wouldn't have this kind of risk because he felt a clear conscience about everything he did. Thus there would be no inner demons at all. Romantic love. Li Qinglian, surely you aren't going to make me lose once more, right? Li Qinglian wore a blank expression. He knew what Kyan Ringsu meant, but he didn't dare to agree rashly. Obtaining the Suxin pupil from the goddess of kindness was indeed a remarkable treasure, but the ability to easily see through people's hearts still made him very uncomfortable. Before obtaining the Suxin pupil, although his emotional intelligence was quite good, it was absolutely impossible for him to see through Kyan Ringsu's heart so thoroughly. Then do you know why the Holy Son and Holy Maiden of Spirit Hall exist? A hint of playfulness flashed across Kyan Ringsu's eyes. I really don't know this. Li Qinglian was stunned for a moment. In the traditions of Spirit Hall, the next Supreme Pontiff is often the Holy Son or Holy Maiden of Spirit Hall, but Spirit Hall will also select another Holy Son and Holy Maiden to be matched together in order to solve the Supreme Pontiff's marriage problem. You know it. The Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall absolutely cannot intermarry with external forces. This is a great taboo of Spirit Hall. Therefore, the Supreme Pontiff's husband or wife will be chosen as the Holy Son or Holy Maiden of Spirit Hall. In Spirit Hall, the Holy Son and Holy Maiden are a match made in heaven, Kyan Ringsu said with a beaming smile. No wonder your grandfather was so proactive in pushing me to become the Holy Son. Didn't even give me time to react. To think of it, he was waiting for me here. Li Qinglian was completely dumbfounded. It turned out that without him realizing it, he had been schemed against. Therefore, the Holy Son and Holy Maiden of Spirit Hall were essentially the future Supreme Pontiff couple of Spirit Hall. No wonder that old fellow Kyan Zunji had always been so steady, yet insisted on pushing him to become the Holy Son in such a short time. After all this fuss, it was for this. Kyan Ringsu standing up for him on Pope's Mountain was also because of this identity of his. Could it be that I can't satisfy you? I am the future Supreme Pontiff and also the Crown Prince of the Heaven Du Empire. My figure and appearance are good in every way and I definitely won't keep you on a tight leash. Seeing Li Qinglian's blank expression, Kyan Ringsu couldn't help laughing. Speaking of these things, she was actually still a bit embarrassed, but seeing Li Qinglian's appearance, she only felt amused. Even a big figure like Li Qinglian had still fallen into the palm of her hand. That sounds so reasonable. I am actually speechless. Li Qinglian was stunned. No wonder Bibai Dong was so rebellious when she was young. It turned out that becoming the Holy Maiden meant she was bound to marry Kyan Zunji. For a moment, Li Qinglian completely understood Bibai Dong's feelings. As a man, Li Qinglian didn't actually care that much. Anyway, when doing that deed, no matter how domineering a woman was, the man would ultimately still take the dominant role at that time, and it was the woman who got pregnant and gave birth to children. No matter how you calculate it, he definitely wouldn't suffer a loss. But for a woman inexplicably having someone press down on her body and that person was even her own teacher, that's not right. The current Holy Maiden of Spirit Hall isn't you. Isn't it, Nana? Li Qinglian realized this grim problem. Kyan Ringsu's face turned dark in an instant. Generally speaking, the future Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall would inevitably be a direct descendant son or daughter of the Kyan family, and would also inevitably become the Holy Son or Holy Maiden of Spirit Hall. But Spirit Hall under Bibai Dong's dominance was an exception. Kyan Rengsu, the young palace master, had been completely driven out by Bibai Dong, and even hid in the Heaven Du Empire, completely unable to see the light of day. In Spirit Hall, more people knew Hu Liena than knew Kyan Rengsu. Furthermore, Bibai Dong also supported Hu Liena as the Holy Maiden to replace her ecological niche. The current Holy Maiden of Spirit Hall was indeed Hu Liena. The grudges of you people in Spirit Hall are truly outrageous. As Li Qinglian sorted out the clues himself, he felt his head ache. Bibai Dong had done so many things that wronged Kyan Rengsu. Could Kyan Rengsu not hate her? He shook his head and was just about to say something. But his gaze suddenly crossed Kyan Ringsu's shoulder and landed on those few figures who had just walked into the tavern entrance. Following his gaze, Kyan Ringsu turned her head back and also saw those few people. Wearing the uniforms of the Heaven Du Royal Academy, the person exchanging gazes with them was a young girl with a cold and detached temperament. Her pupils shrank slightly. She currently wore the face of Zhu King. Your Highness the Crown Prince? Standing at the entrance, Yi Linglang looked at that familiar face by the window with a pair of cold eyes, completely dumbfounded. Wasn't that Zhu King, the crown prince of the Heaven Du Empire? Why would the crown prince appear here? And he was sitting together with a young boy who looked to be around 12 or 13. The distance between the two of them was somewhat ambiguously close, and the crown prince's face still carried a smile that he hadn't had time to hide. Yi Linglang's brain let out a buzzing sound. She suddenly remembered something. For so many years, His Highness the Crown Prince had never married, nor had there ever been any women by his side. Both inside and outside the palace, rumors spread that His Highness the Crown Prince had pure desires and kept away from women. So it turns out, Yilinglang's gaze froze on Qian Rengsu's handsome face, then shifted to the opposite delicate face of Li Qinglian, looking back and forth several times. Her expression went from shock to sudden realization. Crap. We aren't going to be silenced to cover up a secret, are we? Watching Yilinglang standing there foolishly, Du Guyan looked along her line of sight and was also dumbfounded. Qian Rengsu was also stunned. She lowered her head and looked at her appearance at this moment. Zhu Qing's face, a man's attire, looking again at Li Qinglian sitting opposite her, that ambiguous distance between the two of them and her smiling, somewhat coquettish posture just now. Her expression froze instantly. She wasn't afraid of having a scandal with Li Qinglian, but her appearance of leaning against Li Qinglian looked entirely like the passive party in the eyes of outsiders. In that kind of passive relationship, often the passive party meant. For a moment, Qian Rengsu even felt her butt tight. Chapter 42, Qian Rengsu confesses. Is she really not afraid of being slapped by the goddess of life? Qian Rengsu actually wasn't really afraid of being rumored to have a romantic scandal with Li Qinglian. If such rumors were true, they could instead help her cover up the rumor that the crown prince's mansion had no offspring born for many years. But what she absolutely did not want was for outsiders to see her falling into Li Qinglian's arms like a little woman. The royals of the Heaven Du Empire played wilder than one another, and that sort of affair wasn't entirely an unacceptable scandal. But as the heir apparent of a country, being the passive party made the situation somewhat different. Sister Zuer, didn't you say you could accept it? Actually, I think it's not impossible either. Seeing how stiff Qian Rengsu's body was and how infinitely awkward she looked, Li Qinglian directly reached out to wrap his arm around Qian Rengsu's waist, leaned close to her ear and said that breath filled with masculine vigor hit Qian Rengsu's earlobe, sliding down her neck and suddenly drilling into her body. Tilde Qian Rengsu let out a soft hum, then hurriedly closed her lips. Whoa, Yi Linglang and Du Guyan widened their eyes, staring fixedly. One had a cold and handsome temperament, exuding a demonic and charming aura all over. The other was gentle, refined, mature, and steady. Both Yi Linglang and Du Guyan were instantly stunned into a daze. Crown Prince, how could this be? Such a fierce man. To think even the Crown Prince could be taken down by him. Yu Tianheng and the rest of the Heaven Du team were completely dumbfounded. Without a moment of hesitation, they hurriedly turned and left. They were genuinely afraid of being tortured to death by the Crown Prince. The Heaven Du Royal Academy was the imperial family's territory after all, and it was managed by the Crown Prince himself. They simply could not afford to withstand the imperial family's suppression. Lingling Yanzi, why are you not leaving quickly? If you do not leave now, can you bear the Crown Prince's wrath? Seeing that Yi Linglang and Du Guyan were still watching there, Yu Tianheng hurriedly said, Oh. Yi Linglang and Du Guyan hurriedly turned around. Seeing their teammates walking far away, they quickly chased after them. My reputation has been completely ruined by you. Seeing the palm resting on her waist by Li Qinglian, Qian Rengsu turned anger into shame. She had originally wanted to use the persona of a knowledgeable, caring older sister to deliberately tease Li Qinglian. But she never expected that she would be the one pranked by Li Qinglian instead. As the dignified Heaven Du Crown Prince, how could she become Li Qinglian's little pampered wife? How can you blame me for this? Who told you to stand so close to me just now? Li Qinglian was utterly speechless. A woman's mood really was as unpredictable as weather. Just moments ago, Qian Rengsu kept pressing against him, her chest almost pressing right onto his face. He was simply doing the opposite. Li Qinglian couldn't help but glance at Qian Rengsu's buttocks. Qian Rengsu's hip line was revealed under her alluring posture. If they really did the opposite, Li Qinglian felt that wasn't impossible either. Li Qinglian was actually a rebellious person. What are you looking at? Qian Rengsu was incomparably shy and annoyed. Although Li Qinglian didn't say anything, combined with the previous scene, Qian Rengsu could guess 7 or 8 parts of it. Crown Prince, have you ever heard of a philosophical saying? What philosophical saying? Originally there were no roads in this world, but as more people walk it becomes a road. Qian Rengsu looked at Li Qinglian in confusion, then her gaze froze. That blushing face was something even the mask on her face couldn't conceal. Looking from Li Qinglian's angle, that unmasked neck had already turned completely red. Qian Rengsu was scratching all over Li Qinglian's body. Qian Rengsu naturally figured out Li Qinglian's metaphor. Li Qinglian didn't expect Qian Rengsu to actually figure out such a complex problem, feeling somewhat speechless. Sure enough, a woman's ladylike demeanor was all put on. I am heading back. Is a good thing not many people know me. Only the members of the Royal Heaven Du team recognize me. Kyan Rengsu tidied her clothes, walking alongside Li Qinglian on the main streets of Heaven Du City. "You're still worried about being seen. Then why did you?" Li Qinglian shook his head, feeling somewhat speechless. Presumably ever since Kyan Rengsu lurked in the Heaven Du Empire, this was the most dangerous act she had ever committed. She truly wasn't afraid of being exposed at all. I missed you." Kyan Rengsu's beautiful eyes looked at Li Qinglian, her gaze carrying a hint of lingering grievance. "Sister Zuer, stop right there. We have only met a few times, how could you miss me?" Hearing Kyan Rengsu's sweet talk, Li Qinglian was completely unaccustomed to it. When did a woman like Kyan Rengsu learn how to say sweet nothings? No, wait, in a normal romantic relationship, are these things not supposed to be done by the man? Good grief, was he being pursued in reverse? HMPH. "In my heart, you're my husband, I do not care." Kyan Rengsu bit her lower lip lightly. Love, it seemed rather rash, but Kyan Rengsu understood one principle. Aside from Li Qinglian, there was absolutely no other man in this world she could look up to. If it were before she met Li Qinglian, she might still have fancied someone else, but now she could not do it. A woman only has high standards when she encounters a man she does not like all that much. Li Qinglian's family background and the future support he could offer her were everything Kyan Rengsu wanted. As for feelings, they could be cultivated slowly. But what about Nana? Li Qinglian thought of Hu Liena, that holy maiden far away in Spirit Hall had also secretly given him her heart, even he did not know why. But now he had the Suxin pupil which could easily see through a woman's heart. Therefore he also knew that Hu Liena's feelings for him were genuine. Li Qinglian was in a difficult dilemma. If he did not have this pair of Suxin pupil, Li Qinglian could play deaf and dumb. But being able to see through the true side of their hearts, he could not bear to hurt anyone. "When did this happen? Did you not go into seclusion?" Kyan Rengsu's beautiful eyes widened greatly. In her impression, the number of times Li Qinglian and Hu Liena had met was not necessarily much more than her own. However, even if there is one more Hu Liena, I can accept it. Kyan Rengsu bit her red lips with her white teeth. Li Qinglian was dumbfounded. "No, where is your bottom line? Where are your principles?" For a moment Li Qinglian felt as if he were meeting the person in front of him for the very first time. "You are Kyan Rengsu. Where have your principles gone?" In an instant, Li Qinglian finally understood what kind of lives those top second-generation rich heirs lived. So conditions and principles are just things used to make things difficult for ordinary people. Actually, a woman's desire to climb higher is even heavier than a man's. But thinking about it, Li Qinglian suddenly understood. His identity and status in the Douluo Continent were almost unique. As long as Li Qinglian was given some time, at worst he could be a god king, and at best his upper limit was limitless. Kyan Rengsu did not know these things, but just his relationship with the goddess of life alone was enough to warrant Kyan Rengsu placing a bet. Weiner knew that revealing her identity actually caused Kyan Rengsu to develop romantic feelings for me. I wonder what her mood would be. When Zuer descends to the lower realm next time, will they not start a catfight? Kyan Rengsu certainly cannot beat Weiner. Thinking of the goddess of life, Li Qinglian had another headache. That woman had always treated him as a husband. Chapter 43, Subduing Du Guyan, the maiden flaunting her figure. Hee. Be leaving first. Don't take what I said just now too seriously. It's getting late, I should be leaving too. Bought a residence for you in Heaven Du City. The environment is quiet and you should like it. Seeing that Li Qinglian didn't answer for a long time, Kyan Rengsu said with a smile. Then she tossed a set of keys into Li Qinglian's hands and turned to leave. She knew that it was still too early to talk about those things now. Even if Li Qinglian were a lustful person, he wouldn't agree to her so quickly. Kyan Rengsu. Hu Liena. Gazing at Kyan Rengsu's receding figure, Li Qinglian was filled with myriad emotions. Having cultivated over again, he actually provoked so many debts of affection. However, it's not bad either. In the original plot, these women ended up falling deeply in love with Tang San. That they have secretly given their hearts to me, does it also mean that Tang San's fortune is being snatched away by me? Li Qinglian pondered deeply. If it were his past life, Li Qinglian would definitely not believe in any fortune. But in this world it definitely exists. The auspicious beast three-eyed golden Lin is a spirit beast born from the fortune of heaven and earth, and is naturally the emperor of spirit beasts. In his past life, Tang San was able to become a god king and even become the invisible ruler of the God Realm. This kind of fortune definitely played a major role. Fortune is hard to perceive, but Li Qinglian could vaguely sense that he was replacing Tang San to become the son of fortune of this era. Fortune is too important. Once losing the blessing of fortune, even the dragon god would instantly plummet straight down from being the darling of heaven and earth. If Li Qinglian were already a supreme expert now, he would never allow his future to be influenced by such illusory fortune. But now Li Qinglian is still weak. Only by borrowing the lift of fortune can he go further. Li Qinglian pulled back his thoughts, put away the keys and stood up. Walking toward the residence mentioned by Kyan Rengsu. The residence was located deep in a quiet alley on the east side of Heaven Du City, isolating the hustle and bustle of the main street. After turning two corners, with green tiles and white walls, the door was half open. Pushing the door open and entering, a small courtyard came into view. A few stalks of slender bamboo stood leaning against the wall, a few withered leaves fell on the stone table and stone stools, and an unknown old tree was planted in the corner, with lush branches and leaves casting a cool, dense shade all over the ground. Indeed a good place. Li Qinglian nodded with satisfaction and was about to walk into the main room to take a look. Suddenly, a fierce strong wind attacked from behind. That was a fragrant wind carrying a rich, fishy sweet aura, wrapped in a hint of dark green light aiming straight for the back of his head. The corners of Li Qinglian's lips curled up slightly. He didn't even turn his head, just shifted his steps slightly, and that dark green light brushed past his ear, leaving a charred, corrosive trace on the floor tiles in front of him. A slightly surprised exclamation came from behind. The newcomer obviously didn't expect her sneak attack to be dodged so casually. Li Qinglian only then turned around. The attacker was a young woman around 17 or 18 years old, with a head of dark green long hair draped over her shoulders, and a pretty face carrying a gloomy and stern aura. Her pupils were vertical, just like a snake's, staring fixedly at Li Qinglian, her eyes full of curiosity. Du Guyan, the inheritor of the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor, a student of Heaven Du Royal Academy and the granddaughter of Poison Douluo Bo. It's you. What are you doing? Li Qinglian looked at the maiden in front of him in astonishment. As soon as Li Qinglian's voice fell, the second strike had already been launched. The 5 fingers of her right hand spread out, and her fingertips glowed with a rich dark green light, carrying a pungent toxic fishy aura aiming straight for Li Qinglian's throat. Li Qinglian didn't dodge, he merely raised his hand, his 5 fingers precisely gripping Du Guyan's wrist, unmoving like an iron hoop. Du Guyan's expression changed, and she wanted to withdraw her arm, only to find that the opponent's palm was pressing on her wrist like a mountain, and she couldn't break free at all. Ah, so painful. Son, spare my life. Yan had originally wanted to test whether Li Qinglian's strength was as monstrous as legend said. Unexpectedly, her own strength was completely suppressed in Li Qinglian's hands. Furthermore, the opponent didn't even seem to be exerting any force at all. You know me? Li Qinglian was stunned. When the Holy Sun fought with Yan on Pope's Mountain back then, my grandfather and I were also there watching the ceremony. Du Guyan hurriedly said, but 6 years have passed and my appearance has changed drastically. Li Qinglian was astonished. He really hadn't expected that Du Guyan would recognize him. Holy Sun's eyes haven't changed, that are pitch black to the extreme with a hint of ghostly white deep within the pupils. It looks very eerie. My pupils are different from ordinary people's, so 6 years ago I recognized the Holy Sun's eyes at a glance. Du Guyan explained, your eyes. Li Qinglian raised his head and glanced at Du Guyan's eyes. Du Guyan's pupil color and hair color were indeed both very eerie, but that was all caused by poison. In the original plot, it was because Tang Xin saw the abnormality in Du Guyan's hair and pupils that he judged Du Guyan's poison to have penetrated her vital organs. That's right, Holy Sun, do my eyes look good? Du Guyan stuck out her tongue. Good looking my foot. Li Qinglian rolled his eyes and released Du Guyan. Humph. Does the Holy Sun really dislike women? Du Guyan's sentence almost made Li Qinglian lose his footing and fall to the ground. The Holy Sun is so majestic. Even a man like the Crown Prince bows submissively under the Holy Sun's crotch. Du Guyan's eyes gleamed brightly. Qian Rengsu submits under his crotch. Although, doesn't this sound a bit too crude? But thinking of Du Guyan's bold and carefree personality, Li Qinglian understood. Who told you I don't like women? My sexual orientation is fine. Li Qinglian was completely speechless. Although he had just played a prank on Qian Rengsu, it seemed he had also taken the blame. Could the Holy Sun be bisexual? The smile in Du Guyan's eyes grew richer as if she was very surprised. You believe I'll throw you out? The smile on Li Qinglian's face faded. He didn't understand, but he could barely guess what Du Guyan was talking about. Mainly because suction pupil was in effect, there were simply no secrets to Du Guyan as far as he was concerned. Hee, I was wrong, okay. Son, since you're not uninterested in women, then why? Is Yanzi not pretty enough? Du Guyan puffed out her chest, lifted her hips and struck a seductive pose. She was truly curious about what kind of sexual orientation Li Qinglian actually had. To someone like her, actually, no matter how weird the fetish, she wouldn't find it strange, but Li Qinglian was the Holy Son of Spirit Hall and the other person was even the Crown Prince of the Heaven Du Empire. Your figure is still not quite there yet, but I don't like sickly women. Li Qinglian pinched his chin, looking at the maiden flaunting her figure. As someone possessing the dual attributes of life and death, Li Qinglian instinctively could not love someone whose vitality was too low. Of course, if it were purely lifeless objects, Li Qinglian wouldn't reject them either. In other words, Du Guyan's sense of vitality was too low. At a glance, he could tell this woman didn't have many years left to live. Chapter 44. Du Guyan, who was spanked, only has 3 years left to live. You really are unreasonable. So young and energetic, how could I possibly be a sickly weakling? Du Guyan simply doubted whether Li Qinglian's eyes had some problems. 3 years. Li Qinglian raised 3 fingers on his right hand. What 3 years? Du Guyan's heart skipped a beat. Looking at Li Qinglian's face, she instantly had an ominous premonition. At most, you still have 3 years left before you're gone. Li Qinglian crossed his arms over his chest, a hint of a smile curving the corners of his lips. Think that just because you are the holy son of Spirit Hall I will be afraid of you. Du Guyan completely lost her composure. 3 years later she would only be 20 years old. At that time it would be a woman's most youthful and beautiful years. And then she would wither away at that time. I'm very accurate at reading people. Especially when it comes to seeing people die. This is my old profession. Seeing Du Guyan lose her composure, Li Qinglian only found it amusing. As the death divine tree, even without the aid of the Suxin pupil, he could easily sense that Du Guyan's vitality within her body was being eroded. The poisonous force inside Du Guyan's body and her own vitality were engaged in a tug-of-war. But the poisonous force would grow stronger with the accumulation of time. 3 years later would be the critical point where the poisonous force completely overwhelmed her vitality. In fact, if Du Gubo hadn't helped suppress it, she might have died suddenly by now. You, how dare you bully me like this? I haven't even provoked you yet. Yan completely exploded. She abruptly released her spirit, a jade-green snake shadow suddenly rising behind her, its vertical pupils chillingly cold, its venomous tongue flickering. A thick dark green poisonous mist violently spread out with her at the center, carrying a fishy, sweet and pungent odor, sweeping toward Li Qinglian like a tide. Hiss the moment the dust in the air made contact with the poisonous mist, it emitted a slight corrosive sound, clearly showing that the toxicity was extremely fierce. You shrewish woman, this seat kindly reminded you. You are so tactless, deserving a lesson. He raised his hand and released his spirit. That tree shadow, as pitch black as ink jade, quietly rose behind him, and an invisible aura of deathly stillness silently spread out. The overwhelming poisonous mist, the moment it touched the death domain, seemed to have all its vitality sucked away. The green poisonous mist suddenly turned ashen and stagnant, then fluttered down to the ground like falling leaves, losing all lethality. Du Guyan's pupils abruptly constricted. She had never seen her poisonous mist disintegrated in such an understatement. That was her proud jade phosphor snake venom, which even powerhouses at the spirit ancestor level had to fear by 3 points. Yet the youth before her hadn't even moved, turning the entire patch of poisonous mist into a pile of lifeless ash. What kind of monster are you exactly? Her voice carried a trace of trembling. But anger and fear caused her to lose her reason. She violently rushed toward Li Qinglian, opened her mouth, revealed a pair of sharp venomous fangs and bit down hard on Li Qinglian's arm. Then she bit into empty air. Li Qinglian just slightly turned his wrist and evaded her venomous fangs. The next second, with a backhanded grip, he flipped Du Guyan over and pressed her onto his lap. He struck heavily. Slap! A crisp sound echoed in the quiet courtyard. Du Guyan froze completely. A burning pain came from behind her, carrying an unspeakable shame and shock. She had her butt spanked by someone. You, let me go. She struggled violently, her voice filled with both shame and anger, her dark green long hair scattering across her shoulders during the struggle. Have you calmed down yet? Li Qinglian didn't let go, his tone remaining calm. No, let me go. Slap! Another strike. Du Guyan was completely dumbfounded. From childhood to now, as the apple of poison Douluo's eye and a genius student of the Heaven Du Royal Academy, who would dare touch a single hair on her, let alone being pressed onto someone's lap and getting her butt spanked, her eye sockets instantly turned red. Shame, anger, grievance, and bewilderment all surged up. You bastard. Her voice lowered, carrying a bit of a wronged nasal tone. Seeing that she finally stopped struggling, Li Qinglian then released his hand and straightened her up from his lap. Have you calmed down? Du Guyan covered her butt, glaring at him with red eye sockets. In her dark green eyes were both anger and grievance. Her lips pursed tightly, but she dared not strike back again. What I said about 3 years, not to scare you. Your jade phosphor snake venom has already invaded your own internal organs. It's already good that your grandpa's suppression methods have lasted until now, but at most 3 years the toxins will completely erupt. Looking at her appearance, Li Qinglian softened his tone a bit, no longer carrying the previous playfulness. Du Guyan was stunned. She opened her mouth wanting to refute but found that her voice was stuck in her throat, unable to utter a single word, because she suddenly realized what Li Qinglian said might be true. Her body indeed had some inexplicable discomfort from time to time. Her chest occasionally felt stuffy and painful, her limbs occasionally felt cold. But she always thought it was just due to training too hard, and Grandpa suppressing the toxins for her. Could it mean every once in a while Grandpa would come to guide her training? Could it be that he was helping her suppress the toxins? You can see the poison inside my body. I said, this is my old profession. If you want to live, have your grandpa come find me. I have a way. Looking at her, Li Qinglian paused, his tone suddenly turning a bit more serious. Du Guyan stood in place, holding her still faintly burning butt, looking at Li Qinglian with red eyes. Her mind was in complete chaos, shame, anger, shock, and a trace of belief that even she was unwilling to admit. She could feel that Li Qinglian's words just now didn't seem like random nonsense. That calm and resolute tone and the gaze that seemed capable of seeing through everything made that ominous premonition deep in her heart grow stronger and stronger. What you said is true. The poison inside my body, really only has 3 years left, her voice lowered, carrying an imperceptible tremor. Li Qinglian nodded and didn't say much else. Du Guyan bit her lip and remained silent for a long time. Her dark green long hair hung down her shoulders, covering most of her face, leaving only one slightly reddish eye exposed. I'll go back and ask Grandpa. If you dare lie to me, even if I can't beat you, I won't let you off. She finally spoke, her voice muffled, carrying a stubborn refusal to admit defeat. She spoke fiercely, but the end of her voice carried a trace of undisguisable panic. Amen. Seeing her outwardly tough but inwardly weak appearance, Li Qinglian unusually didn't continue to tease her. You wait for me, I'll be back. Yan glared at him again, then turned and walked away. Her footsteps were a bit chaotic. When she reached the courtyard door, she was even tripped by the threshold, staggering a step before steadying her figure. She didn't look back. Her dark green long hair flashed in the twilight and disappeared around the corner of the alley. Li Qinglian watched her leave, slowly withdrawing his gaze and lowered his head to look at his own palm. Poison Douluo, Dugubo. He whispered this name, his gaze flickering slightly. Chapter 45. The relics of the Ice Dragon King and Fire Dragon King Dugubo shocked. The root cause of the toxins inside Du Guyan's body actually lay in Dugubo's Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor spirit. That kind of poison on the bloodline level could simply not be eradicated through conventional means. Dugubo merely used his own formidable cultivation to slow down the rate at which the toxins spread throughout Du Guyan's entire body. Although he did not have detoxification methods like Tang San from the original plot, he had the Suxin pupil, which could see through the flow of toxins within the body. He had the Death Domain, which could strip away toxins from the vitality of all things. He also had a Heart of Life, which could stimulate pure vitality to repair the internal organs eroded by toxins. For Li Qinglian, solving this problem was way too simple. By then this poison Douluo would become a chess piece he could use. I do need some people who can be of use. Li Qinglian muttered. Behind the people of Spirit Hall, whether they were the titled Douluo of the Hall of Elders or the Supreme Pontiff Palace, stood Qian Deiliu and Bibai Dong. Li Qinglian certainly did not want to be watched by others all the time. Dugubo's strength was sufficient, and he was honest enough. Li Qinglian was very satisfied with Dugubo's performance in the original plot. My Dragon Abyss ring not only has a huge storage space but can also store living things. Those rare immortal herbs also be transplanted inside, Li Qinglian muttered. He withdrew his gaze and turned to walk into the main room. Leaving in such a rush this time, I actually forgot a major matter. Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well is the place where the Ice Dragon King and Fire Dragon King passed away. I wonder if there are any fortuitous encounters left here. The continuous energy supply of the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well should have been provided by the two Dragon Kings. The original plot, two dragon souls even bred here. Li Qinglian's eyes shone brightly. The Ice Dragon King and Fire Dragon King were among the 18 great Dragon Kings of the Dragon Realm. Their strength was enough to rival God Kings. Most importantly, these Dragon Kings were treasures all over. Even a tooth of Gu Yuena unexpectedly contained spatial energy, which he crafted into the Dragon Abyss ring. It could be seen that the Ice Dragon King and Fire Dragon King might have left behind supreme treasures of ice and fire attributes. If there truly were no such supreme treasures, Li Qinglian still wanted to directly pack the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well into his Dragon Abyss ring. Having a top-grade portable medicinal garden would be of immense use to Li Qinglian. However, if I really want to stuff the entire Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well in, at the very least, Goddess of Life or Goddess of Kindness would have to come and help me. I certainly don't have such means myself. Li Qinglian pulled back his thoughts and turned to walk into the main room. Meanwhile, at the other end of Heaven Du City, in a deep and secluded mansion, Du Guyan stumbled into the main gate almost clumsily, covering her still faintly burning backside. Her dark green long hair draped messily over her shoulders in the night wind, and her eye sockets were still red. The guards at the door were startled upon seeing her appearance, and just as they were about to step forward to ask, they were glared back by a fierce look from her. Where is my grandfather? The master is in the study. Biting her lip, Du Guyan walked all the way through the courtyard and pushed open the door of the study. Inside the study, an old man dressed in a dark green robe was standing by the window with his back to the door, flipping through a yellowed ancient book. His figure was lean yet upright, and his whole body exuded a cold and stern aura that kept strangers at a distance. Hearing the door open, he slowly turned around, revealing a sharply defined face. Dugubo, titled Poison Douluo, the most terrifying grandmaster of poison on the entire continent. His gaze fell on Du Guyan, first stunned for a moment and then his brows slightly knitted together. Yanyan, what happened to you? His line of sight fell on Du Guyan's hands covering her rear position, and his expression became somewhat subtle. Du Guyan's face instantly flushed red all the way to the roots of her ears with a whoosh. Thinking of the scene where she was beaten by Li Qinglian, she felt a bit embarrassed. It's nothing, she said these 3 words almost grinding her teeth, then walked quickly to Dugubo's front, raised her head and stared directly into his eyes. Grandfather, I'm asking you about something. Seeing her expression unprecedentedly serious, Dugubo knitted his brows even deeper. today's Yanyan was very abnormal. What is it? Someone said. Du Guyan took a deep breath, her voice carrying a trace of trembling. I only have 3 years to live. Du Gubo's pupils abruptly shrank. In that instant, the color on his face almost completely faded. Who is talking? Voice rose a few notches, carrying a panicked feeling that he tried hard to conceal. Grandfather, it's already this time, are you still going to hide it from me? Du Guyan interrupted him, her voice suddenly raising and the tears in her eye sockets were about to overflow. The study fell silent for an instant. Du Gubo opened his mouth, looking at his granddaughter's tear-filled eyes. His Adam's apple rolled up and down and he couldn't say a single word. He fell silent. Seeing his silent expression, Du Guyan's heart instantly sank to the bottom of the valley. In fact, she had already vaguely had a premonition in her heart. Those occasional bouts of chest tightness, those increasingly frequent cold limbs, those bodily anomalies she forced herself to ignore. But she had always told herself that it was just because cultivation was too tiring, just an occasional discomfort. But now her grandfather's expression told her it was all true. Who told? Bo finally spoke, his voice hoarse, carrying endless pain. Who told you about this matter? The holy son of Spirit Hall, Li Qinglian. I met him in Heaven Dew City today, and he saw through the poison inside my body, saying I have at most 3 years left. Du Guyan bit her lip, her heart was filled with mixed feelings, but ultimately she felt fortunate. If she hadn't blindly stumbled upon Li Qinglian being together with the crown prince, she would never have been curious enough to test Li Qinglian's sexual orientation. Nor would it have been possible for her to know about her own illness. Li Qinglian, the holy son of Spirit Hall, conferred on Pope's Mountain 6 years ago. Du Gubo's complexion changed several times, finally settling into an extremely complex solemnity. Li Qinglian, the new holy son of Spirit Hall, a genius jointly recommended by all the old freaks of the Hall of Elders, and it was said that even Cayenne Dailiu favored him greatly. But a 12-year-old youth could actually see through the poison of the jade phosphor serpent emperor at a glance. What else did he say? Du Gubo's voice carried an eagerness that even he himself had not noticed. He said, "Go find him, he has a way." Bo was stunned. He stood in place, his dark green robe swaying gently in the night wind, and for the first time a trace of pleasant surprise appeared on that cold and stern face. He had searched for decades for an antidote, gathered strange prescriptions from all over the world, and exhausted all kinds of methods, yet he could only barely suppress it. A 12-year-old kid said he could cure it. But what if he really could? The other party was the holy son of Spirit Hall after all, and this person Li Qinglian was very extraordinary, level 20 with twin spirits, and even top-tier powerhouses like Cayenne Dailiu valued him immensely. Such a figure had no need to toy with him. He be trying to subdue me? If he can really save Yanyan, what would it matter even if I gave this old life of mine to him? If Yanyan is well, the Dugu family's lineage won't die out. Chapter 46, Du Guyan visits again, bumps into Li Qinglian bathing the next morning. The sky was just beginning to brighten. The autumn sunlight, carrying a faint layer of golden gauze, spilled into the room through the window lattice. The few slender bamboos in the courtyard gently swayed in the morning breeze, casting dappled, swaying shadows. Li Qinglian slowly opened his eyes, and the golden-white speck of light deep within his eyes flickered slightly as his pupils focused. He sat cross-legged on the bed, the spirit power around his body slowly receding like a tide, and the surging power in his meridians also stabilized. He looked down at his hands and gently clenched his fists. He had broken through level 42 spirit ancestor. The cultivation speed of the Death Divine Tree's human transformation was already far superior to ordinary people. Coupled with the 8 spider lances absorbing the Earth's energy day and night to continuously transport origin power to his body, this night's breakthrough was even smoother than he had expected. With a thought in his mind, his back grew slightly warm. The next instant, 8 dark purple spider lances burst out from both sides of his spine, stretching and opening in the morning light like a pair of fierce and magnificent wings. A cold purple luster flowed across the surface of the spider lances, reflecting the light outside the window and casting 8 slender shadows on the wall. At this moment they had completely integrated with Li Qinglian's bones and meridians, the tip of each spider lance being extremely sharp, capable of easily piercing hard stone bricks with the slightest movement. It has completely fused with my body. Next, wanting to nurture it will be a slow process, and I cannot rush it. Li Qinglian muttered to himself, feeling the peculiar sensation of the 8 spider lances being connected to his own flesh and blood. They were like 8 extra fingers on his body, flexible and precise, moving as he desired. He gently urged the 8 spider lances, and all 8 spider lances simultaneously pierced into the floor tiles beneath his feet. A warm surge of energy poured into his body from the depths of the earth along the spider lances. Although not torrential, it was endless. Cultivated for a night. Go wash up first now. Li Qinglian got up and stretched his body. Then he took out a bathtub from the dragon abyss ring. Even for the sake of my own living standards, I can find a way to speed up the progress of the spirit tool. Li Qinglian yawned. Spirit tools are not just used for attack and defense. There are also special-purpose spirit tools such as illumination spirit tools and sound amplification spirit tools. 10,000 years later, Hu Yuhao and the others already had showerheads when they bathed, and spirit tools constantly controlled the water outlet temperature. It could be said that the development level of spirit tools on the side of the unrivaled Tang sect was almost close to the technological level when Li Qinglian transmigrated in his previous life. That is what you call enjoyment. This is also an important reason why Li Qinglian was confident that he could definitely promote the development of spirit tools. It is nothing more than converting the electrical world of his past life into the spirit power world of the present. The vast majority of logic can run through in this world. I can make these things myself. First, I'll use them to improve my life. Li Qinglian soaked comfortably in the bathtub, the warm water moistening every inch of his skin. With his eyes closed and his head resting on the edge of the bathtub, various concepts of spirit tools were still spinning in his mind. Heating array, constant temperature array, water circulation array. In fact, they are not complicated. They can be achieved as long as the basic arrays are connected in series. The so-called spirit tool array, aren't they just some circuit diagrams? Even the level 9 spirit tool array required for a level 9 spirit tool in the unrivaled Tang sect definitely cannot be compared with the top chips of the past life. Level 9 spirit tool arrays are handmade and can be carved out with an engraving knife. Those chips of a few nanometers in the past life, try carving one with an engraving knife. When I have free time these days, I must make time to draw a few design blueprints and mail them back to Spirit Hall to hand to Nana. The Spirit Tool Research Institute can start with these little gadgets first. Complete Spirit Tool Bathroom Solution. If successful, it can definitely open up sales rapidly. While creating profits, it will cultivate a large number of low-level Spirit Tool Masters. As long as the number of these low-level Spirit Tool Masters is large enough, some geniuses will definitely appear. Li Qinglian felt that he had temporarily found the development route of Spirit Tools in this world. Walking the route of smart home and smart life would definitely allow spirit tools to make a big name in a short period of time. As for combat-type spirit tools, for the time being, there is no need to rush. When those geniuses of Spirit Hall realize the wondrous nature of spirit tools, they will naturally join this field. If Spirit Hall, this ancient, rigid and massive faction, successfully transforms, relying on spirit tools can definitely allow Spirit Hall to prolong its life for tens of thousands of years. Li Qinglian was deep in thought. Suddenly, the room door was pushed open abruptly. Li Qinglian. My grandfather is here. Du Yuen's voice was crisp and eager, her steps urgent and fast, obviously jogging all the way in, her dark green long hair flying in the morning breeze. Where are you? Come out quickly, my grandfather, he. While shouting, she pushed open the door of the main room, then the whole world went quiet. Du Yuan froze at the doorway, her dark green pupils enlarging bit by bit, her cheeks changing from fair to crimson at a speed visible to the naked eye, and then from crimson to a deep red that was almost dripping with blood. In front of her, Li Qinglian was sitting naked in the bathtub, the hot water overflowing past his chest, and a few unknown petals floating on the surface of the water. His head of black hair was wet and plastered against his forehead, water droplets sliding down his jaw, reflecting a warm luster in the morning light. Their eyes met. The air was silent for a moment. Du Yuan's brain seemed to have been violently struck by something exploding with a hum. She saw it. She saw everything. Although the water surface blocked the most crucial part, those wide shoulder lines, clear collarbones, and water trails left when water droplets slid down his chest. You, hooligan, why aren't you wearing clothes? What kind of bath are you taking in broad daylight? Du Yuan's scream could almost flip the roof over. Her hands tightly covered her eyes, but the flash of crimson exposed between her fingers betrayed the speed of her heartbeat at this moment. I'm taking a bath in my own room. Why should I wear clothes? Did you knock when you barged in? You really are defying the heavens, huh? Calling me a hooligan, you're the real hooligan, peeking at me through your fingers. Li Qinglian looked speechless. What is the difference between this and those women in the past life who ran into the men's restroom because the women's restroom was full and then scolded men for acting like hooligans? Du Yuan's face was burning and her whole person was in disarray in the wind. She didn't expect Li Qinglian to be so blunt. Wasn't there a more decent way? He actually pointed out her peeking directly. Simply a clueless blockhead. Du Yuan hurriedly ran out of the room. Once outside the room, the scene in the bathtub still couldn't stop surfacing in her head. Why was Li Qinglian's that thing so big and so ugly? Du Yuan even subconsciously looked at her exposed arm and compared it. With this comparison, Du Yuan froze again. Chapter 47. Du Bo kneels and pleads. Du Yuan wasn't intentionally calling Li Qinglian a scoundrel. It was just that the glance from earlier had truly shocked her. She had only ever seen such a situation on horses and donkeys before, so for a moment she had somewhat lost control of her emotions. She truly couldn't figure out how the Crown Prince managed to endure it. Even a normal woman might not be able to endure it, let alone the Crown Prince. Oh my god. PFFT. At you, you've scared the little girl away." When Li Qinglian got up from the bathtub to put on his clothes, a familiar voice sounded by Li Qinglian's ear. Li Qinglian's entire body stiffened up. Li Qinglian was all too familiar with this voice. "Sister Nair, why are you here?" Li Qinglian's complexion didn't look very good. He knew that there was a sliver of Gu Yuena's divine sense in the Dragon Abyss realm, which could communicate with him at any time. "I occasionally come to take a look and, by the way, follow you to get acquainted with the human world." Gu Yuena's voice, carrying a hint of a smile, was transmitted over. "However, I didn't expect you to be so capable. No wonder you scared the little girl out of her wits." After listening, Li Qinglian curled his lips. He shook the water droplets off his body and put on his clothes. Can someone like Du Guyan even be considered a little girl? Someone like Li Qinglian, perhaps. Du Guyan was boisterous and careless overall, acting just like a tomboy. Li Qinglian's personality was steady and conservative. It was true that she might have been frightened. This also couldn't be blamed on Li Qinglian. After all, he was a transformed spirit beast, and his body proportions couldn't possibly be identical to humans. Moreover, when molding his appearance after transforming, Li Qinglian had also harbored some selfish motives. Li Qinglian walked out of the room. Du Guyan quickly ran up in front of him. "Li Qinglian, just now. It was my fault just now. I really didn't mean to talk about you like that. I'm definitely not that kind of unreasonable girl. I was just too shocked just now." Du Guyan lowered her head to look at her own toes, her voice as soft as a mosquito's buzzing. Shocked, hearing this word, Li Qinglian felt strange inside, but a trace of a smile lingered at the corner of his mouth. Amen. The flush on the young girl's earlobes had already spread to her neck. Li Qinglian was dumbfounded, looking at her. Could it be that she really was scared by him, just as Gu Yuena said? Just as Li Qinglian was about to say something, suddenly, an extremely heavy and icy aura violently pressed over from outside the courtyard gate. It was like a mountain collapsing, like an abyss gazing back. That was a pure coercion belonging to titled Douluo, carrying a deeply toxic dark cyan aura, descending upon Li Qinglian's head like an invisible giant palm. Crack! The dust in the air seemed to solidify at this instant. The slender bamboos in the courtyard bent their waists, and even the sunlight became somewhat dimmed. Li Qinglian's footsteps paused slightly. His body did indeed feel that oppression. The coercion of a titled Douluo definitely could not be considered easy for his current cultivation. But he did not retreat, did not bend his waist, and did not even frown. He simply raised his head and met those eyes. Outside the courtyard gate, Douluo stood with his hands behind his back, his sunken eyes locking onto Li Qinglian like a falcon, a dim green cold light flickering deep within his pupils. He didn't make any superfluous movements. Simply standing there, he was like a silent toxic mountain, exuding a suffocating sense of oppression. That aura carried probing, a warning, and also a form of scrutiny. He wanted to see just how much weight this youth, whom even Kain Dailiu looked upon with special regard, truly carried. Du Guyan suddenly turned her head, and seeing her grandfather's expression, her complexion changed slightly. "Grandpa, what are you?" Bo did not respond to her. His gaze remained fixed on Li Qinglian. That gaze was as cold and sharp as a knife, as if it wanted to thoroughly see through Li Qinglian from inside out. Li Qinglian stood in place, neither dodging nor avoiding, nor releasing his spirit. He simply quietly looked back at Douluo, the golden-white speck of light deep within his eyes quietly lighting up, like an imperceptible star igniting in the dark night sky. Sucks in pupil, all things are clear. That layer of dark cyan coercion gradually became clear in his eyes. It was not a chaotic momentum, but a traceable layer-by-layer energy structure like the facets of crystal, with each layer distinct and clear. He could see the long-standing stubborn toxins inside Douluo's body slowly eroding his visceral organs, and could see the paths those toxins traveled through his blood. He even saw one more thing. When Douluo released his coercion, the circulation speed of the toxins inside his body increased by 3 parts. Li Qinglian's lips curled up slightly. He stepped forward. Just a single step, yet it made that surging coercion crash against an invisible wall, abruptly stalling an inch in front of him. Douluo's pupils contracted slightly. Li Qinglian stood behind that stalled layer of coercion, his voice calm, unlike any 12-year-old youth facing a titled Douluo. "Senior Poison Douluo, if you want to use this method to test me, there is really no need. Your coercion is nothing much to me. However, for every bit more spirit power you mobilize, the poison inside your body will backfire by another bit. 70% of your left lung's area has already been corroded by the toxins, the right kidney as well. Every time you circulate your cultivation, you will feel a faint tightness in your chest, right?" Douluo's expression instantly froze. For the first time, a look of dread surfaced in those cold, sharp, hawk-like eyes. He stared fixedly at Li Qinglian as if looking at a monster. If Li Qinglian could see through Yanyan, it wouldn't be entirely incomprehensible. But he himself was a titled Douluo, a dignified titled Douluo. Actually had not a single secret before the youth in front of him, yet this youth before him saw right through him. Even the extent of his body's internal toxin spread could be seen with crystal clarity. The coercion slowly dissipated like a receding tide. Bo pays respects to the Holy Sun. I also request the Holy Sun to bestow a divine medicine to save the lives of myself and my granddaughter. If the Holy Sun is willing to have mercy on us, this life of mine, Dugubo, will belong to the Holy Sun from now on. From this day forward, if the Holy Sun tells me to go east, I will never go west. Dugubo bent his legs and knelt on the ground. He knew, in the face of survival, any dignity was not worth mentioning. Moreover, what he was asking for right now wasn't just his own life, but the survival of his clan. Only he and Dugu Yan were left in the Dugu clan now. If they were to die, the Dugu clan would also cease to exist. Grandpa, Dugu Yan's pupil shrank, and seeing her grandfather kneel down, she hurriedly knelt by her grandfather's side. She hadn't expected that her grandfather was also poisoned just like her, and even more severely than her. Son, please save me and Grandpa. As long as you are willing to save us, whatever you want, I can give it to you. Even if it means giving myself to you. Tears welled up in Dugu Yan's beautiful eyes. 48. Devouring Dugu Bo's accumulated poison, soul ring evolves to 10,000-year level. When she spoke the last few words, her voice trailed off and her earlobes burned red once more, but her gaze did not waver. Offer yourself to me in marriage, you're dreaming. Li Qinglian curled his lips. Looking down at the grandfather and granddaughter kneeling before him, he fell silent for a moment. Then he walked forward and reached out to gently support Dugu Bo's arm. Get up, I'm not used to people kneeling while talking to me. Dugu Bo hesitated for a second, then slowly stood up, but his posture remained respectful. Dugu Yan also stood up, standing beside her grandfather with red-rimmed eyes, watching Li Qinglian nervously. Li Qinglian didn't say anything more, only gently raising his right hand. The next instant, 8 dark purple lights suddenly burst from his back. The 8 spider lances broke out from his body, stretching and opening in the morning light like a pair of ferocious yet gorgeous wings. Every single spider lance shimmered with a cold gloss, their tips as sharp as needles, exuding a heart-palpitating, devouring aura. An external spirit bone, Dugu Bo's pupils shrank slightly. In the spirit master's world, an external spirit bone was even rarer than a 100,000-year spirit bone. But thinking of Li Qinglian's identity, he felt relieved. This person was probably far from being just the holy son of Spirit Hall, someone with innate rank 20 spirit power whose spirit was also so bizarre. How could they be an ordinary person? Poison Douluo. It might hurt a bit, bear with it. Li Qinglian's voice was as calm as usual. As his voice fell, the tip of a spider lance gently pressed against Dugu Bo's back. Dugu Bo's body tightened slightly, but he didn't dodge nor resist. He just took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. The next instant, an extremely fierce suction burst from the tip of the spider lance. Dugu Bo let out a muffled groan, the veins on his forehead bulging. He could clearly feel that the jade phosphor snake venom that had deposited in his body for decades was forcibly stripped from every inch of flesh and blood, and every meridian by an invisible hand, rushing toward the spider lance on his back along with that suction. That process was extremely painful, as if being pierced from the inside out by countless fine needles simultaneously, or as if someone was pulling out his blood vessels one by one and stuffing them back in. But he clenched his teeth tightly, not crying out a single sound. The dark cyan toxin surged into Li Qinglian's body along the spider lance like a surging toxic river. The concentration of those toxins was extremely high, and the energy density was immense. That was the poison essence accumulated by Dugu Bo over decades, repeatedly compressed and refined by his cultivation. Every single drop contained majestic energy. Li Qinglian furrowed his brows slightly. The heart of life and the death divine tree within his body operated simultaneously. Li Qinglian's utilization of the life attribute was far less handy than his use of the death origin, but protecting Dugu Bo's heart meridian was still doable. The heart of life purified the fatal components in the toxin, while the death divine tree frantically devoured the pure energy contained within the toxin. That energy surged into his meridians like boiling magma, rushing into his spirit along the path of spirit power circulation. The extreme poison in Dugu Bo's body is the purest energy from his 100 years of cultivation. It's just that it spread throughout his body, which is a misfortune rather than a blessing for him. However, this kind of pure energy is a great tonic for me. Then, bang, a crisp sound came from the depths of Li Qinglian's soul. Li Qinglian's pupils suddenly lit up beneath him. The 2 deep purple 1,000-year spirit rings were changing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The purple grew deeper and richer, then suddenly burst with a layer of dark light, turning into a serene pitch black. They had impressively evolved into 10,000-year spirit rings. 2 purple spirit rings evolved simultaneously. Not only that, the other 2 spirit rings, which were already 10,000-year ones, also became deeper and gloomier in color, as if turning from ordinary night into a bottomless abyss. 4 10,000-year spirit rings slowly pulsed beneath his feet, exuding a suffocating, oppressive feeling. Feeling the soaring power within his body, Li Qinglian's eyes shone brightly, and the corners of his mouth unconsciously curled into an arc. He had only devoured 20% of the accumulated poison in Dugu Bo's body, yet he unexpectedly obtained such good fortune. If all the poison in his body were devoured, I'm afraid the age of all his spirit rings could rise to over 20,000 years. I was already able to continuously absorb energy to nourish my spirit rings by relying on the formidable innate spirit ability Death Drain. The 8 spider lances possess the devouring attribute, which complements my Death Drain ability. The original plot, when Tang Xin obtained the 8 spider lances, its devouring ability was not developed to the maximum, completely wasting the ability of the 8 spider lances. It wasn't until the time of becoming a god that the 8 spider lances obtained the fortune of divine force and evolved into the 8 wings of the sea god. Dugubo was now so shocked that he couldn't speak. He slowly turned around, looking at the 4 serene black spirit rings beneath Li Qinglian's feet, his mouth slightly open, unable to close for a long time. Originally, when Li Qinglian activated his spirit, 2 purple and 2 black, it was already scary enough. Now, those 2 purple spirit rings actually directly evolved into 10,000-year spirit rings, 4 10,000-year spirit rings, a 12-year-old 4-ring spirit ancestor with 4 10,000-year spirit rings throughout the history of the entire Douluo Continent. This had never happened before. Holy Sun, you just evolved your spirit rings by devouring my poison. Dugubo looked at Li Qinglian as if looking at a monster. Yeah, it can be considered an unexpected joy. Senior's poison has been compressed for decades and its energy density is extremely high, which is a great tonic for me. However, if I absorb it like this, after the accumulated poison in your body is devoured by me, your cultivation might become unstable or even possibly drop to level 90. But you have already cultivated to level 91 yourself. Even if your realm temporarily drops, you can recover after cultivating for half a year. Without the trouble of the accumulated poison, you will still have the opportunity to continue breaking upwards in the future. Li Qinglian retracted the 8 spider lances and stretched his shoulders and neck. Dugubo's strength was actually not weak, but he had no way to use all of his power at all. Once he used his full strength, the accumulated poison in his body would lose power suppression and he would instantly die suddenly. This was also why in the original plot, the Golden Triangle could withstand several of Dugubo's attacks. Dugubo being called the shame of titled Douluo, the weakest titled Douluo, stemmed precisely from this. Without the trouble of the accumulated poison, Dugubo could make moves without any scruples in the future. Dugubo fell silent. Looking at the handsome young man before him, an unprecedented complex emotion welled up in the depths of his heart, shock, awe, and a trace of relief, relieved that he came today. And even more relieved that he knelt fast enough. Li Qinglian, this holy son of Spirit Hall, was indeed extraordinary. Du Guyan stood timidly to the side. Looking at her grandfather, then at Li Qinglian, her gaze lingered on those 4 black spirit rings for a long time. Her dark green eyes filled with shock and bewilderment. She suddenly recalled the words she had said just now. Thinking about them again now, her ears became even hotter. Chapter 49, Entering the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well. Gu Yuena is shocked numb as Li Qinglian, still human. Yu Tianheng was already considered a top genius. But compared to Li Qinglian, the gap was so despairingly large. No wonder when she said she would give herself to him, Li Qinglian didn't feel moved at all. This fellow definitely didn't take a fancy to her. Thinking of this, Du Guyan was both angry and annoyed. This fellow, I didn't even say I had to be the primary wife, and he still doesn't want this. Du Guyan thought to herself inwardly, her legs tense. That is all for today. The poison inside Senior's body still needs to be cleared completely over a few sessions. Sister Yanyan's poison is relatively mild, and it can be resolved in about 2 to 3 times. 4 black spirit rings slowly converged beneath Li Qinglian, disappearing at his ankle. Dugubo took a deep breath and solemnly cupped his fists. Many thanks, Holy Sun, poison Douluo. Li Qinglian's lips curved upward, his gaze staring straight at Dugubo before him. Please speak, Holy Sun. Dugubo was slightly taken aback. With the ferocity of the accumulated poison in your body, logically speaking, you shouldn't have lasted until now. Li Qinglian crossed his arms in front of his chest, his gaze meaningful. For you to be able to last until today, you must have some treasure or precious land that suppresses the poison, right? As soon as these words were spoken, the air in the courtyard seemed to stagnate for a split second. Dugubo's pupils shrank slightly. He hadn't expected Li Qinglian to be so acute, clearly just a 12-year-old youth, yet even more terrifying than those scheming fellows. Seeing through his ailment at a glance and easily resolving his poison was one thing. To actually calculate things to this extent, for a moment Dugubo's gaze toward Li Qinglian became even more filled with awe and reverence. Dugubo didn't know that Li Qinglian was able to be so acute because he was familiar with the plot, simply assuming he had calculated it out. But this was fine too. Maintaining a sense of mystery was the only way to make Dugubo completely submit. Looking at Dugubo's grave expression, Li Qinglian didn't urge him, just standing quietly with a smile on his face, waiting for him to speak. The morning breeze passed through the courtyard, rustling the few slender bamboos and making a soft swishing sound. The sunlight moved an inch across the ground. Dugubo finally let out a long breath. He raised his head looking at Li Qinglian, the complex expression in his gaze slowly settling before finally turning into a sense of relief. Sun possesses piercing insight. Indeed, I do have a precious land. It is a natural, wondrous place where extreme cold and extreme heat intersect. The special environment there has a miraculous effect on suppressing the accumulated poison in my body. This is the reason why this old man has been able to live for so many years. He paused, his tone becoming even more solemn. That place was originally the Douluo family's greatest secret, but since Holy Sun can now detoxify me, that precious land no longer holds much meaning for me. I'm willing to gift it to Holy Sun as my token of allegiance. Li Qinglian's gaze brightened slightly. Ice and fire yin yang well, the place where the Ice Dragon King and Fire Dragon King passed away. The remains of the two Dragon Kings had accumulated for tens of thousands of years, creating that wondrous natural spectacle where extreme cold and extreme heat intersected. Not only were there a large number of immortal herbs and spiritual medicines there, but it might also hide supreme treasures left behind by the two Dragon Kings. In the original plot, Tang San reaped enormous gains there. Fiery apricot, delicate, octagonal, mysterious ice grass, Douluo Tongshan chrysanthemum and other immortal products laid a solid foundation for his later rise. Good, Li Qinglian's voice carried wild joy. Half a day later, Sunset Forest, a deep valley sheltered by layers of poisonous miasma. Li Qinglian and Douluo entered it. The deeper they walked, the more bizarre the temperature changes in the air became. At times scorching like midsummer, heat waves hitting the face making even breathing feel scalding. At other times freezing like midwinter, the cold biting into the bone marrow and making one shudder uncontrollably. Two completely opposite temperatures alternated in an extremely chaotic manner, as if this valley accommodated two seasons simultaneously. Son, it's right up ahead. Douluo led Li Qinglian onto a mountain peak. Li Qinglian cast his gaze forward. Before his eyes was a small valley with a circumference of no more than 100 zhang, surrounded by mountains on all sides, completely isolating this place from the outside world. In the center of the valley, a pool of spring water was quietly emitting misty vapors. The spring water was divided into two halves. One half was as clear as ice, radiating a deep blue cold light with a thin layer of white frost condensing on the water surface. The other half was as red as fire, continuously churning with boiling bubbles, steaming with vapor and oppressive heat waves. The two streams of spring water converged in the center, yet they did not merge, distinct from one another like a folded scroll of painting. At the junction, water vapor steamed upward, intertwining in midair into a hazy cloudscape that reflected the daylight, presenting a bizarre purple-gold color. Ice and fire yin-yang well, Li Qinglian slowly let out a breath, his gaze falling upon that patch of bizarre spring water. He could sense that deep within the spring water were two extremely massive auras that had slumbered for unknown tens of thousands of years. One cold and one hot, one ice and one fire, like two slumbering hearts beating slowly in the utmost depths. And fire yin-yang well. This is the ice and fire yin-yang well. Right at this moment, the silver-white dragon abyss ring on his left ring finger suddenly emitted a violent tremor. A silver-white light projected out from the ring's surface, finally condensing into a hazy phantom in midair. Silver-white long hair, a peerlessly beautiful face. It was precisely Gu Yuena. Her expression was completely different from usual. Within those silver eyes was an unprecedented solemnity and shock, staring fixedly at the ice and fire yin-yang well before her, her lips slightly parted without closing for a long time. Her voice carried a trace of extremely slight trembling. The place of the fall of the Ice Dragon King and Fire Dragon King, Douluo suddenly stepped back, his expression changing drastically. He couldn't sense the specific strength of that phantom, but the oppressive feeling rushing toward his face, the kind of aura that made even him, a titled Douluo, instinctively feel a shudder. By Li Qinglian's side, how could such a formidable human soul exist? However, thinking of Li Qinglian's spirit, which was filled with an aura of desolation and death, death and souls seemed to be things under the same system. Holy Sun, what is this? Li Qinglian looked at Douluo's uncomposed appearance, understanding in his heart. Poison Douluo, you can leave first, I won't be in any danger here. However, what you saw today you must keep strictly secret, otherwise. Li Qinglian looked at Douluo with a half-smile. Even though Gu Yuena was only a divine thought, wanting to kill Douluo was far too simple. However, Li Qinglian didn't want to kill Douluo. In the human world he indeed needed some of his own forces to help him do things. Yes, Douluo's expression was grave as he quickly acknowledged and replied. Afterwards Douluo left at lightning speed. Son Li Qinglian, just what is his identity? Could he not be human? Nor could he be a transformed spirit beast. Qian Dailiu personally endorsed Li Qinglian. If he were a transformed spirit beast, he would have been discovered long ago. He said the Qian family could contact the angel god of the God Realm. Could Li Qinglian have some connection with the heavens? Douluo suddenly felt his whole body shiver as a startling conjecture surfaced in his mind. Rumble, a bolt of lightning from the blue exploded in his heart. He felt that his guess was probably close to the mark. A single soul could make him feel such a terrifying threat. That perhaps was a god. Chapter 50. The Dragon Marrow and Dragon Soul of the Ice and Fire Dragon King. The weakness of humans becoming gods are the Ice Dragon King and the Fire Dragon King buried here. No wonder when I entered this sunset forest, I always felt a familiar aura. So that's how it is. Gu Yuena murmured, her gaze carrying a hint of trance. When the 18 Dragon Kings gathered in the Dragon Realm, it was also the peak moment of the Dragon Clan. However, extremes lead to the opposite. It was precisely on that day that the Dragon God's mind fell into complete chaos, causing the entire Dragon Clan to suffer a great disaster. Looking at the burial place of the Ice Dragon King and the Fire Dragon King, Gu Yuena instantly recalled the glory of the Dragon Clan back then. It can be said that the glory of the Dragon Clan is inextricably linked to the might of these Dragon Kings. Even for the human race that is gradually rising now, in terms of its peak, it is still hard to compare with the Dragon Clan of that era. Sister Nair. Li Qinglian quietly looked at Gu Yuena's phantom projection, waiting for her to calm her emotions. The silvery white light gently swayed in the valley, reflecting the shimmering water of the ice and fire yin-yang well, like two dragon souls from 10,000 years ago, casting a distant look back from the depths of time. Seeing Gu Yuena's bewildered appearance, Li Qinglian couldn't help but feel a sense of emotion and heartache in his heart. Gu Yuena took a deep breath, and her silver gaze slowly regained clarity. She looked at the ice and fire yin-yang well, her gaze complex and distant, as if flipping through an ancient book sealed for 10,000 years. This is the burial ground of the Ice Dragon King and the Fire Dragon King. During the peak period of the Dragon Clan, there were 18 major Dragon Kings. Each Dragon King controlled a law of ultimate power, guarding a territory of the Dragon Realm respectively. The Ice Dragon King controls ultimate ice and the Fire Dragon King controls ultimate fire. They are the two extremes of extreme cold and extreme heat in the Dragon Clan and also one of the oldest beings in the Dragon Clan. Li Qinglian listened quietly, his gaze not moving away. Although their strength is considered the weakest tier among the 18 major Dragon Kings, even so their combat power is definitely not inferior to any God King in the God Realm. Li Qinglian's pupils shrank slightly. The weakest tier could also rival a God King. When the 18 Dragon Kings gather, it is the most prosperous peak moment of the Dragon Clan. Gu Yuena's voice gradually sank, carrying a trace of pain. What a pity, extremes lead to the opposite. It was precisely during that period that the Dragon God's mind fell into complete chaos, ultimately triggering that disaster. Most of the 18 Dragon Kings fell, the Dragon Clan disintegrated, and its former glory turned to ashes overnight. She lowered her eyelids, her silvery white long hair gently fluttering in the breeze of the valley. The Ice Dragon King and the Fire Dragon King fell in that catastrophe. They fell into the earth with their remaining bodies, and the powers of extreme cold and extreme heat intertwined and settled in this valley. After 10,000 years, they finally formed this ice and fire yin-yang well. Hearing these words, Li Qinglian's heart shook. Regarding these things, he had already guessed them, but hearing it spoken from Gu Yuena's mouth still made him feel shocked. As the Dragon Kings of the God Realm, their age was at least 2 million years or more. He suddenly thought of a more important matter, and his gaze fell on the depths of that spring water. Sister Nair, are the remains of the two Dragon Kings, still down below, at the extreme depths. Their flesh and bones have long since dissolved into the earth, but the core dragon marrow and dragon soul should still be sleeping at the very bottom of the spring. Over 10,000 years, a part of their power has turned into the vitality of this precious land, nurturing the surrounding immortal herb and spiritual medicines. Another part is deeply buried at the bottom of the spring. Gu Yuena cast her gaze towards Li Qinglian, seeming to have recovered from her recent emotions, the corners of her lips turning up. It is said that every part of a spirit beast is a treasure, even more so for the Dragon Clan. Even the supreme treasures left behind by the Ice Dragon King and the Fire Dragon King are enough to allow any living being to undergo a bone-shedding and mortality-escaping transformation. Although Li Qinglian is the death divine tree with exceptionally high inherent quality, the remains of the two Dragon Kings can definitely bring a massive enhancement to Li Qinglian. To put it bluntly, even if the Death Divine Tree is upgraded to its ultimate, it would only be at the level of the Ice Dragon King and the Fire Dragon King. Sister Nair, look. Li Qinglian was a bit embarrassed. He had just obtained the Dragon Abyss Realm from Gu Yuena, so even with Li Qinglian's thick skin he felt a bit embarrassed to speak up again. You are eyeing their belongings, aren't you? Li Qinglian nodded. At this time he didn't act coy with Gu Yuena anymore. He must obtain the secret treasures of the two Dragon Kings. This will become his foundation for standing in the world, Sister Nair. Although I recultivated into a human and can quickly cultivate and become stronger like humans, and even embrace all rivers, absorbing the advantages of all clans in the heavens for my own use like humans. If I didn't use a human body, it would be impossible for me to absorb the seed of life left to me by the goddess of life, nor would I be able to fuse with the succinct pupil of the goddess of kindness. The human body is like a large, customizable platform. If conditions permit, I can even modify any part of my body. This is something no other living being can possibly do. Li Qinglian confessed frankly. This is indeed the greatest advantage of the human race. By absorbing spirit bones, one can install the optimal solutions evolved by thousands of clans over countless years onto oneself. Isn't that external spirit bone you absorbed just like that? Gu Yuena said softly. Spider spirit beasts like the man-faced demon spider have their most optimal body parts as 8 spider legs. These spider legs are the necessary weapons for the man-faced demon spider to survive in the spirit beast world. Therefore, the growth of all man-faced demon spiders will temper their own spider legs. Therefore, this part is the only one that has the possibility of evolving into a spirit bone. External spirit bones are actually the optimal body parts evolved by those special spirit beasts. And by absorbing the external spirit bone, Li Qinglian directly possessed this advantage, fully integrating it with himself, and can even drive it to continue evolving through cultivation. Just by absorbing the spirit bone, he directly took away the optimal body part evolved by the man-faced demon spider over millions of years, gaining its main abilities. This kind of cheat-like ability is simply something that all living beings in the world desire to obtain, therefore saying that the human race is weak is completely nonsense. The human race is just born too weak, but once they grow up acquiredly, they are simply at a demonic level. However, the human race also has its biggest disadvantage. That is, the human body is too weak and completely unable to take a beating. Although I am the death divine tree recultivating into a human form after taking human form, I also inherited this disadvantage. If this is not resolved, my future achievements will still be limited. Li Qinglian was somewhat helpless. He still remembered in the original plot when Tang Sen had a divine battle with Bibai Dong and Kaiyan Rangsu. When the three fought, they first had to avoid each other's attacks. Even Tang San, who inherited the Asura god, simply could not withstand the full blow of a level 1 god. For Tang San, his attack power had reached the level of a god king, but his physical body was far behind. Although Tang San later became the de facto master of the god realm, he had never fought a single hard battle. If he really fought a veteran god king like the god of destruction, the opponent could completely trade injuries for injuries and wear Tang San to death. The human race cultivates very fast, but it is just like battery chickens of later generations. Without improving his physical body, it would be difficult for Li Qinglian to contend with top dragon kings with tyrannical physical bodies like the Dragon clan, let alone compare with the Dragon God.